You're going to choose a point for where the light source is hitting the floor. Remember, it isn't the light itself. The light itself is way, way, way up above. But this is where it's hitting the surface that the box is sitting on. And what you're going to do is take each of the four corners that are sitting on the surface and project this dot through them to get the right angle on your shadow. Even do the ones here that are hidden, because you never know, they might be important for what we're doing, and this is going to be important for what I'm doing. I've got this angle, I've got this angle, this angle. This one is going out like that, all from that little point. Now, because this now is the shadow for this vertical line, the shadow for it is here. But it ends, so I have to choose a place for it to end. And watch these videos. They'll show you that the light is way up there, though. And what we're using as a point is way down here. That's what we're using. But to get the real precise angle, you'd be using the light source too to project through the top corners, not just the bottom. Now we've decided. So because we're looking for the shadow for this line, we have to draw it the same way. And we drew it using the vanishing point. So that's how you have to draw this. You have to use your vanishing point. Remember, you can do phantom lines before you actually draw a line. Okay. So this now, this whole square, is the shadow for that side of the box. And then where this projection hits the perspective line, I go the other way. Now how do I do that? I look to see what shadow it's for, and it's the shadow of this line. And I drew that one as a perfect horizontal. So this has to be a perfect horizontal. So that's my shadow shape. So that's my outside line. And all of those hidden lines are going to stay there. But they're going to stay in pencil. And you can cross your corners. Corners look more accurate if they're a little crossed over. They look more squared up. So don't be afraid to do that if you like that. All hatching is vertical lines side by side. And the closer you put them together, the darker they look. Now, in this situation, the light is way high above, so this surface is all lit up. So I don't put any hatching there. But this part is in the light, because this is all lit up down here, remember. It's all lit up. It's in the light, but it's oblique to the light. It's not facing the light. It's at a vertical angle, so it's not facing the light. So it's not bleached out. So I'm going to have hatching here. Just single lines that I put the same distance apart. On the videos, I have to move very fast, so my hatching is a disaster. But yours is going to be beautiful. You're going to take your time. So leave lots of time for this. This looks like it's simple and you'll be done in a minute, but you really do need to take your time with your hatching. And so if you're hatching with your set square, it would be better for you to start with whether you're left or right-handed, start with the opposite side. So it would be better to slide along this way, wouldn't it? So that your set square doesn't mess up the line you just made. Okay, and then on this side, I can go all the way down to my shadow, and you can put a line on your shadow. We never do this when we're doing our marker rendering. We never outline our shadow. But here you can outline a bit if you like. And this would come all the way down. And then we'll keep on going. And now we have to make it darker because this is the shadow side. So we have to go at a diagonal now. So this is cross-hatching. Oops. So you see why we use just a skinny pen for this. Because it can get pretty heavy. And you cross over this part. I could have been doing the whole thing. I wasn't thinking. And it's okay if your pen leaves a little blob at the start. I don't know why, but that somehow looks a little attractive when you... Yeah. And that's not dark enough. So we've got to go over again this way. Now, these are more formal drawings, but if we were doing our sketches, we'll go back and do our table. You'll see, you can do this very fast, and it gives everything some oomph. And if that's not dark enough, then we can do the same lines again, just bringing them closer together. So we can now go back to doing more verticals. Now, the place that's the darkest is right here at the top, because the bottom is getting light that's bouncing up from the surface that's all lit up. So this part up here is the darkest. I don't think we did any of them to the vanishing point, did we? So we can still go this way. See? So there's an ability to make even a little variation in the shadow, but the darkest part is this part, the cast shadow. It's the complete absence of light because the object is blocking it. And it's darkest right at the start here, and then as it goes back, it's not quite so dark. But they're all supposed to be the same weight of line, and they don't taper. They don't go like that. They're solid. You do it deliberately and solidly, all the same weight. That's why the pigment liners are really nice for that. If we put the same kind of lighting on it as this, and we put our hatching in, we're going to put our hatching on the front and our cross hatching on the side, if we were to put our shadow in, now our shadow is going to be made by putting our dot over here and going through. This time we're going to go through the center. If you can remember where your center is, we'll go through our center on the bottom. My pencil's kind of dull, so I should be... There's my center. We'll balance our shape. So we'll bring this knobby part here. There's our knobby part. And we'll let it go like that. And then we'll put a box for the top and call it done. So we have to use our vanishing point. And we can't let it get too... We can't let it get too... now there'll be shadow all under here. And shadow all under here. And then there's the shadow for the pedestal. And there's the shadow for the tabletop. So when we fill that in, if it were a round table, we'd put a round top here. And you ask yourself, is it sitting on the floor? If it's not, then your box is no longer a cube. It's no longer a... And this part will be in shadow. And it'll be crosshatched, won't it? I'm making these lines a little darker so you can see what happens if you go very dark with your cross-hatching. It looks a little distracting, doesn't it? So it's better when it's thinner, but just so you can see. And don't forget your outside lines are thicker. And even our pedestal, it's shaped like the cylinder. So it's going to have a shadow down one side of it as well. And this just has the simple hatching without any crossing over. This often looks a little odd though if you don't put them close enough together. So these are probably spread a little too far apart. And this is a little shadow underneath. So underneath you always hit a little harder because you could round these out. Something we forgot to do was put our person in here. These are some choices that you have when you do your sketch figures. They can be floaty head people or square head people, but they're very simple as you see. And we could start her. We're going to have her eye on the eye level. And we're going to... Now, where her feet end up, it doesn't matter. She's going to be correct wherever. She looks like a carrot in a way. You can think of her as a carrot. Ooh, she's got a short, sassy skirt on. She's coming to dinner. Now, the positioning of her feet says that she's just a little bit in front of the table, or a little bit lining up with it. So she's about the right size. So that's not too bad. I think we did pretty good in terms of sizing it. It would have been better to put her in first, maybe, then size a table to her, but she's doing her job now. She's showing us. My vase of flowers has kind of run away from me, though, a little bit in terms of size.